Everybody, this is Patrick from Sasquatch in the Wild, and this is going to be a picture show to show you what I found during the day before those videos were taken of the eye shine. So I posed the question in the very beginning of this last video, or in fact on my thumbnail, is how close is too close? Where I'm standing in the forest is not even where they were standing on how close they were. So I'm going to zoom in, and you can kind of see our chairs back here. So I'm going to kind of zoom in on that area a little bit here. As I get closer in, and see if I can move it just a little bit. That is, I do believe, Mike's chair. My chair's back here. Trenton's chair is right there. Our campfire is right here, and Sasquatch, believe it or not, was standing right about here. So they were about 50 feet, if that, from us. From his chairs to where we are at right here, where I'm standing, that's about where Sasquatch was standing, looking at us. Now, if you watch the video, you will see, and I'll probably just throw the video into this, but you will see a face or a blob of white appear. Well, that blob of white is actually when they were when the faces would come through and kind of turn and look towards us, their face was reflecting the light from the fire. So the light from the fire was causing their face to become in focus for a split second. And they were moving all around these trees, all around us. So as I zoom out, all these trees in here is where they were moving around here. They were going all the way around on the other side of where these trees back here were. They were moving all the way around us. My teepee tent is right. Let's see if I zoom in over here. Is right here. This is my teepee. That's the top of the teepee, comes down. And then this is the vestibule. There we had one or two guys walking around my tent, and they were checking it out on the back side of this. They were sneaking around, and they got all the way around my car, and at some point they actually touched my car, and I have photographs of weird handprints and like smearing where the hand kind of grazed the parts of the car. Yeah, fingerprints that are on the car. Now, Sasquatches don't have fingerprints, and I'm going to show you those pictures here in a little bit. But I just want to give you an insight about what we were experiencing back then. And most people, they don't know how far Sasquatch are. And this is one of the structures that was built, not that night, but it was there prior. And sometimes when we go camping at this spot, we will find structures somewhere close by. It's almost like their way of saying, hey, how you doing? Yeah, we're here. And next thing you know, we have a structure sitting here the very next morning, which is kind of cool. So now I'm going to stop this video. I'm going to stop the pictures. I'm going to run back to the beginning and start from there. But I just wanted to show you how close they really were standing from us. And in fact, most were here, but we had some more that were off to the far right. And I will probably show some of that too. But the trees, they were within this zone all the way around us. So there was at least a 50-foot buffer zone between them and us. So let's go back to the beginning of the video. Okay, so let's start here. One of the first things I found when I was out hiking around was this tree break. Tree breaks are usually found in bigfooting areas. A tree break can be from like a limb or some sort, but it's usually some form of part of the tree. And on this tree was very much alive, and it was broken up here. So there is a snap right here. It looks kind of frayed. Camera was not totally in focus when I photographed this, but it looked like it was in focus from this point when I was looking at it. This is a structure out here. Everything about this is everything Bigfoot related. You start wandering around through these pole pines and you start finding odd things, and this is one of those odd things that just didn't add up. This is my teepee tent over here to the far right. Let's see if I can turn this just a little bit. Oh, you can see it. So this is my teepee. This is the vestibule, window, vent. I've got 4 windows and 4 vents. There's always a vent under each window. And I had cameras set up all the way around for a better part of the night because I kept on hearing things moving around back in here. And this is what it was like. So between a tree and a tree and a tree, they were moving in between these trees, showing themselves, which was really kind of crazy. And if you watch the video carefully and slowly, if you take your cell phone out and you record the video and then stop the video and go back and use your finger along the, like if you tap on the picture and then tap on below it, it'll open up a slide bar and you should be able to slide back and forth. And that's when you're going to start to see what Sasquatch looks like, because there are a handful of probably about, I'd say, close to 10 different images of Sasquatches doing various odd things, moving back and forth. I got one of an older guy that looks like he has like a kind of like a goatee type of feel, mustache. It's really crazy looking, and yet he has the body shape of what a Sasquatch should look like, and it's very strange. And you see faces emerging, and they look like the guys from the band The Gorillas. I mean, it's really weird seeing a lot of these facial features. You'll see glowing eyes. There's a whole lot of things happening inside that video. But you should just go back and film a little bit of it. I just replayed those videos over and over again, so you're seeing it like repeating itself. But that was one of the better videos that I caught. And that's when just recently I was finding those faces and these craziness that those things were doing when they were coming through and showing themselves. But they had walked around my tent, and they were walking through here. We could hear them moving about, and we knew they were there. Again, Sasquatch is not perfect, and they make mistakes. And that's the best part about Bigfooting, because at some point, you're going to find them, and you're going to be able to catch this evidence. That's Mike's tent over here in the far right, next to my ginormous teepee tent, which I do love dearly. I'll probably buy another one in a year or two. Here's more view of the trees behind my tent. This is a structure of sorts. You have trees that are bent over, and you have a lot of trees that are bent. Now, it doesn't mean Sasquatch bent these trees, but there is a good idea that they do this. But the part that is intriguing are these lateral trees that are coming up. This tree is still shoved in the ground, so that means the root structure is still there. And it was laying on top of that tree, and it goes over and it lays on top of this tree, but it's under a series of trees that are holding it in place, just like this tree here does the same pattern and goes up and over. And there's other trees that are holding it down here. There are always debris fields, and it's weird to find these debris fields, sporadic in different places. There's other structures that are down in this area. When I went down into this little valley back here, I could not hear anything going on up here on the hill. It was just dead silent. And at one point, I actually thought I got lost, and I was standing about where this little triangle is down here. and I couldn't see my tent. I couldn't see anything. I got turned around, and I about went the wrong direction. And I turned because all the way around this, there are hills that lead up. So I was really kind of caught off guard by that. But thankfully I came up this side, and then I saw my tent, and I knew I was in good shape. But it was weird to find out that I got lost, literally, about 100 feet from my tent. Oh, let's go back. Look at their feet. We found this print. We don't really know what it was, but it was out of place, and it didn't make any sense. It has a very odd shape for it, but we think this was a footprint of sorts because it does kind of extend out. Pine needles are pushed in. Pine needles are clearly pushed in on this part of it. It's just a weird shape. That's Mike's foot up against it. That's Trenton's feet over there. This is what we would call like an Indian marker. A tree that's been bent, and it's, for whatever reason, it's been bent this direction, and it just keeps growing up this direction. It's kind of neat. It's kind of like an oversized bonsai. This is a tree structure. This is the bottom half of the tree, and the top half is by Mike's feet. And it's weird to look at this thing because something picked up a tree and put it in place. It's actually resting against this part of the tree, and it's sitting on this tree, and it's pushing down or weighing down this tree to grow in a different way than it normally would. This tree was bent or broken again, and turned on itself, and it now is growing all the way up in here. And then there was another tree, another part of the tree that was dead, that didn't survive this, but it had already grown up to a certain point. Now we found this odd looking, it's kind of a lean-to, and we figured it was probably a hunter's blind of some sort that someone put up in here. There is hunting that happens here, but it's not supposed to happen there. Not that I'm aware of anyway. I've been shot at in that area because of a couple of knuckleheads that came into the area, and they loaded up a gun guns and started shooting into the forest while I was on a hike coming back through. And finally they quit shooting, and I started yelling at them that there were people walking back in there, and they freaked out. They had no idea there were people back there. In this area, you are not supposed to be shooting in. Oops, go back. This is what the other side of that thing looked like. Clearly it was made by man because there's a lot of rope attached to this. Lots of strings in there. It's kind of strange. Looks like some pack rat activity was going on. A strange little cave, like kind of a hiding spot. Might be a nice place to get out of the rain. Just kind of sit back in there. Have a hiding spot. Might be a nice place to get out of the rain. Just kind of sit back in there. This was another lean-to that wasn't too far from the other one. Built a little bit better, but still kind of horribly designed. I don't think they actually put a whole lot of effort in this one. But again, you can see all the string that they left behind. There's a string right there, wraps around it. String back in here. Lots of string back there. It's just like, geez, what were you thinking when you built this thing? This is some of the area to kind of get a glimpse of about what they walk through at night to come find us. There's a total of about 4, maybe 5 campsites in this area. One at the far end is pretty darn huge. and it's surrounded in rocks and forest. But you can wander out there and you could probably get lost fairly quickly unless you know where the roads are sitting, and if you have a decent kind of navigation in your head. Mike's looking at a footprint, I do believe, on the ground. Different possible leaves here that you could possibly eat. The moss, there's been some theory about moss that they may eat some of it, that there's some nutritional value in it. I'm not sure what these plants are, but I can probably scan them and find out what these all are. I like the tree. Other forms of moss. This was like a little cave thing that's just under the earth, just a little bit. And this thing here, I got down and kind of took a photograph underneath it. And there is some space underneath this boulder. And you'll see that here in a second. I'm going to get down closer than this because there is a gap. There is enough space that I could squeeze underneath that and crawl inside. Just like over here, there was just enough space to hide if you needed to. This is inside that little spot. Now, I'm going to get out of this for a second, and I'm going to show you something. So you really can't see inside this very well, but I'm going to go through my editing stuff here a little bit. Now, I don't have Photoshop, so I'm going to show you just by clicking on different filters. You'll be able to see, oh, it's got a green one, you know, you can kind of see in there, but there's one in here that opens this up. I think it's this one. Yeah, there you go. So that we can see into this thing. And you can actually see that there are sticks in here. Now, there's no reason to put a stick in here or a series of sticks in here. So it looks like there was enough in here to maybe make a glyph or maybe build something. I don't know what this little reflective thing is right here. It's kind of odd. It's strange that it's glowing in there. But it could have also be a bug that's just flown down that's right there, and I caught it at the right time. But I found it intriguing that there's something here that, see if I can lighten that up a little bit more. Yeah, we got that. At least we lit it up a little bit. There was something else in here. Now, I thought maybe there was something hiding right here that's a little dark, but it looks like there's something here. Clearly, there's a stick here, there's a couple sticks here, and a couple sticks here. And zoom out, you can see what looks like maybe roots or something coming down inside there. That looks like kind of roots. But it looks like a nice little place to hide if you're trying to get away from people. And I found that very intriguing. That makes it too dark. That doesn't help a whole lot of nothing. How about the blue? Does that help us? No. Kind of helps us see a little bit. And this is what I do sometimes when I'm looking at pictures. I'd like to see if I can get in there and do stuff. I do have access to Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom, and that actually will help determine what is going on. In some pictures, it brings the shadows out. If something's hiding in the shadows, I can dig around and see what's there. But I only have that on a couple pieces of equipment, not on this computer. At least not yet, anyway. That's okay. I really don't care. So let's go back to moving on. There are a lot of intriguing places around here, including weird little trees, some tree stacking, some breaks and stuff throughout here, and I thought that was kind of intriguing. We found bones, a lot of moose bones. These are all moose. They're oversized. I didn't think that they were elk, but I was pretty sure they were moose, and Mike thought they were moose also, so we claimed it as moose. But we also found this crazy kind of a glyph structure thing that's going around this tree, and there's a bone here. I'm a firm believer that they use bone to communicate when they're doing wood knocking, that they're actually using bone versus using a stick or a giant tree. Jaw bones. A tree break. Now, some tree breaks are interesting, but other tree breaks are really interesting. This tree, for whatever reason, has been stripped of bark up and down this thing. Now, if that is a tree rub from an elk or a moose, they did a whole lot of work. But the other weird thing is not only is it broken, but it's been twisted and turned and flipped over onto the other side. But I found it very intriguing that all this bark has been removed, like it's been peeled off the thing. Usually a tree rub is like a section, not a whole lot of sections. That's just weird. Another view of it. And it's funny how it's kind of marked up as it's going up here, and then it kind of gets worse, and then all this is removed. Bumblebee. That looks like a cave, and I did not pay attention to that. I may have to go back there and look for that. I know whereabouts this is. That would be intriguing if there was a hidden cave back in there. I have found that on some photographs that I have shot, I find caves. And caves are, if they're hidden, they will typically be found in photographs like this, because you can find like little oddities. Like this is kind of odd, but that's really kind of odd. And because this thing is in a bowl, I wonder if that's not a mine shaft or if that is something that's been dug out and covered. And a lot of times Sasquatch will cover this with debris, and it'll look like a big pile of mess of just nothing but gnarly nastiness. And they can get through it. But we would like walk by and go, nope, and we would walk around and just not have anything to do with it. But that's intriguing because that shadow is very, very close to what I would think would be either a mine or maybe a cave of some sort that's hidden in plain sight. Yeah, I need to go back to that spot and look at that a little bit better. Maybe Jim will want to go with me. Or maybe somebody else wants to go with me too. I'd be game. I like how everything looks here. It looks like it'd be a fun place to just move around if you lived out here the whole time. This is a weird teepee-like structure, believe it or not. There's no rhyme or reason to this, but here's the bottom of the tree. It goes up here, and it's weighing down on this tree that should be alive, but it's dead. Then you got this bottom part of this tree that was brought in, and it's sitting on top of that tree that was coming in. Then you have this tree that was also brought in, and it's sitting on top of that tree. And all these things are sitting on top of this one tree. It was just weird. This was a strange place when we were kind of wandering around it. This is what it kind of looks like. And then you have the branch that's hanging up, or the tree that's hanging up on this side. It's touching this limb, which is going back over here. And then eventually it hits that tree that's over there, and it goes over, and it just wiggles on all the way down through. But this is what it's like. This is what you see with trees sitting on top of trees. And there's no reason for this. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever for this. You can see it now. That's what it looks like down there. It's like a big open-faced teepee. But this part looks like it fell just a little bit. The size of that tree. But the weird thing about this tree that it fell, that's the stump. That's the tree. So the question is, why did it fall? Did it fall over and roll this direction? Or was it moved? It's just weird. It's one of those weird things. Oh, let's go back. So, pareidolia. Let's pick on that sucker. So I saw this thing when I was looking at it through the trees. Is it up in here? I saw it. I think it's this. So I thought I saw a face. And so I was like, oh, okay, let's take a picture of that. So I started to zoom in. And this is what it looks like from a distance. This is what that thing looks like. And I thought, okay, is that a head looking at me? That seems kind of odd because that could be the forehead. This could be the eyes. This could be the nose in there. And it's like the cheekbones. But then I started looking at it as a whole. And the way it's positioned, I don't think it is. I think it's part of this tree. And the reason why I think that is because I don't see a body. I see a face, but I don't see a body to that face. And so that makes me question that picture all the time. Here's another shot of that. Now it looks a little disoriented a little bit. Looks a little off. Did it move? No, that seems kind of odd. Did it move? Nope, I don't think it did. I think that's exactly what... Yep, it's exactly what I think it is. I think it's part of that tree behind it. Tree breaks. All kinds of tree breaks. Snapped here. There's probably about 3 or 4 tree breaks that are right in this area. They were climbing up this hill. A crazy X. I do believe they're separated. I don't think they're that close to each other. But it looked like it was a very interesting X. And it is an interesting X because this tree looks like it was pushed and that tree looks like it was pushed. And it seems just at a place that here's this crazy X that's sitting here. This was a very strange structure as we were heading back to camp. These trees, now you could say snow load, and I would probably agree. But this tree are winding around the tree that's going around here and going down. These two trees are actually like twisting around this tree, which makes no absolute sense. And I think I have a couple more photographs of this. I didn't want to really walk through this because these things are ankle breakers. And I did not want to walk through this and get injured. Now, Mike and Trenton, they started walking away while I was taking pictures of this thing. You can see the twisting here where they're kind of being twisted around the tree. It was just a weird event looking at this. Now, way off in the distance here is Mike and Trenton. I'm at least about 75 to 100 yards away from them. They just got up and walked away while I was taking pictures. I was like, that's great. I'm way out here looking at stuff and they are walking away. Now, I'm a firm believer that Sasquatch likes to climb trees. And just like gorillas, baby gorillas and young gorillas will climb trees to get away from predators. And I started to think that, is this a guy's face? And then I thought, nope, that's not a face. That's part of the tree also. Because again, there's no body form that's attached to that sucker. And this would be a tree that I would think that a Sasquatch could easily maneuver to get up and down it, to get away from people in general. It was just one of those things that I started thinking about, well, where are they at? But a lot of people took what I believe out of context, and they would say, well, how do you figure that they can climb a tree? I'm not talking about an adult Sasquatch. I'm talking about teens to juveniles to maybe young infants. And this concludes this part of the video. there will be a couple more videos with this. My name is Patrick, and this is Sasquatch in the Wild. I hope you enjoyed this journey so far. There's more pictures to come, and I'll talk to you soon.